Hello guys. So this will be a short video on interview and uh, just to get into right away. First, I will mention what of the coachings or the mock interviews that I joined and what were the effects of those interviews. So first, uh, I started with I think Vajiram because Vajiram was my coaching at that time, and they had two levels of interview. First is done by like a junior civil servant, or I'll not say junior, not IAS. So he had a felon. I think he was an IRS officer or something. I'm not very sure. So he took the interview, and with him were other people as well, but not of that caliber. It was a medium level interview, more than like wanting to get to know me or how the actual interview actually went. I think the interview was more focused on prescriptive manner, like what he wanted to prescribe. The second interview in the Vajiram itself was with a like retired IAS man, and I think that interview was a good interview, and I got many substantial inputs from the man. Then also Vajiram provides a facility to have one-to-one interaction with the director of Vajiram, Ravindran sir, and where he picks up the questions from dev and he will ask you those questions, and then also after that one to one is done, you can ask your doubts as well. I think it did benefit me. He pointed some areas where questions could come, so I prepared accordingly. It was a productive one to one interaction. So that is Waziram. Second, coming to vision. Vision is Vision also provides many such like uh, features. First is def analysis. So I went there without any presumption. I just went with whatever dressing I had. I went there crossing my legs and moving my hands a lot, bending a little, because I was not aware that they were noticing it. So while discussing the def, ma'am pointed out like that's not how you are supposed to sit and all. But in my defense, I did not knew that it was an interview. I was thinking it was just a dev discussion. Dev discussion was average, but that's the thing. You cannot discuss a lot about dev because after certain point of time, you start over analyzing your dev, and then over analysis gives very low returns. For example, if there is some place, then you start going with the history of that place, then history of that person associated with the place. There is no end to this kind of expansion on the research part. So it's up to you how much deeper you want to go on the def. So basic def analysis is a must, but other than that it is optional and it depends on you whether you want to do it or not. So one def analysis after the vision organized a interview with faculty members, which I think was not good, because the faculty members, just like some other institutes where faculties take interview, they focus on the wrong parts. They are more about show off. Sometimes what happens is a non-bureaucrat remains under the scrutiny that can he behave like a bureaucrat, like UPSC chairman or something. So in that insecurity, they start focusing on themselves rather than the interview part. So I did not enjoy it. Then another interview in the vision happened with one IAS, and it was okay. Again, I would not say that great, but okay. The one difference that I got is how a bureaucrat will mock you and how a non-bureaucrat will mock you is a very different matter altogether. A non-bureaucrat might ask the good questions, actually impress you with the questions, but would it match with the UPSC interviews? I am not very sure. So if you have a chance, get interviewed by a real bureaucrat. Next, moving to Sankalp coaching. Sankalp, you might not be knowing much about the coaching, but the interviews, they are very much a factor. I believe that like almost 90% of the people who are getting interviewed and stay in Delhi, they do go in Sankalp because they have that ability to call a lot of bureaucrats. They have connections, and that's why retired and serving bureaucrats come to them, and that's how they are able to get that real mock feel. So in that case, I would suggest you can try it. One thing that is very useful in Sankalp is they conduct group mocks. So by group mock, it does not mean that they will be interviewing seven people together or something. They will be interviewing people one by one, and rest of them will be watching. So what happens is when you get interviewed, na, you can't self-analyze while you are giving the interview. When you try to analyze after the interview is done, you have forgotten most of the things that happened there. So when you see other people getting interviewed, how they behave, how they counteract, how they get nervous, everything is visible, and it's a great learning. So I would suggest everyone that please attend some group interviews in the Sankalp. You are free to join, like there is some joining fees, and after that you can attend as many as group mocks you want. It's up to you till you get comfortable. Then coming to other coachings like KSG and Drishti. So Drishti I had registered, but I did not give because I did not feel the need, and thank God I did not. Regarding KSG, I liked their questionnaire part where they provide list of I think 250 or something questions on your dev. Don't get too much happy that they will be analyzing your dev and giving you questions accordingly. They have a set pattern. Like if you have mentioned Madhya Pradesh in your dev, your home place is Madhya Pradesh, they have already standard questions from Madhya Pradesh which they will append in your questionnaire. If you have a background from services, they will select those questions and give. If you have background in engineering, electrical engineering, something like that, whatever is mentioned in your dev, they have already standard question for that, and they add it here. And apart from that, they also add current affair based question. But regardless of that, they are very beautiful questions. If you don't know where to start, you get that questionnaire. If you prepare answers to every question there, I think you would be more or less prepared about the expected questions. So this is about Sankalp. I'm not able to remember anything else that I did. I went to Subra Ranjan actually, and well, she did not provide mock interviews at that time, but there was one retired agriculture secretary from MP, I guess, and he was taking one-to-one interview. That I felt okay. It was my first, so that's why it holds a special place in memory. But regarding utility, it was average. So all that I have talked till now is of 2019 attempt, where I reached to the interviews. I scored around 167, 168. I am not very sure. It can be decent. What I learned from that interview is that when I went to attend the interview, it was Sri Aryan Chauve's board. Interview went very good, and I expected good marks, like more than what I got. Not that I was that uh, discouraged or disappointed with the marks, but I expected a little more. But as many would agree that sir is a little conservative in giving the marks. You might get good impressions while you get out of the interview room, but your expectation might not actually actualize. That happened to my roommate as well. He got 140, and he did not find any fault any major fault in his interview. So that is it for 19 attempt. Now I'll be coming to 20 attempt. In 20 attempts I learned something which for the first timers it might appear a little weird, might not apply to you as well. I learned that you cannot over prepare an interview. For an interview you will have to draw some lines, and also you don't know what they will ask, first of all. Second, you don't know if you will be able to answer. Third, if you don't know if they are impressed with your answer. Fourth, you don't know it will result to marks even if they are impressed. Many a time you will be coming out of the interview disappointed, still you will get good marks. Many a time you will be over the moon, like this is the best interview that I have, comparing to your friend's experience, but you might be scoring much lower than your friends. How your interview went has nothing to do, more or less, with what marks you are going to get. So don't have overtly optimistic expectation here. Be a little conservative, and that's how you also should not spend a lot of time preparing, because no matter how much you prepare, there will be uncertainty, there will be something unexpected that will be happening to you. Such is the exam, and interview is probably the most unexpected thing. So keeping that learning, I decided that I'll not prepare much for interview, and those who know me, they might like uh, verify it, that my interview was on 16th of September and I started preparing at 6th of September. Before that I was reading newspapers, but I did not prepare anything at all. I was preparing for prelims actually. I read some PTs and everything. On 6th I decided that okay, I will start now giving the interviews, and I gave one interview of KSG. Next IAS was not willing to give me the date that I wanted that if the interview is on 16th, I'll not be giving any interview beyond 9 or 10. That is my rule, no interview in the last week of the preparation. And they were saying they can get me interviewed on 11th. So I decided not to do it. I was just willing to go with one interview of KSG. And fortunately, or maybe it was my bad luck, good luck, whatever, but they called me on 9th that they can get me interviewed, and I was like, okay, it's good that I'll give the interview. And it was a decent experience. I scored, I don't know how much I scored, but I felt like everything is good. I don't need to do much. I did not do much. I went straight without preparation. Much than that, as I have said, there are some bare minimums to prepare your DAF, your basic demographic data like population, uh, population ratio, sex ratio, rural to urban ratio, all this to your district, to your state, into your country, and your DAF along with current affairs. That's it that you need to do. That's what I did, and I scored around, I think, 171, which is again a decent mark. I am not disappointed because I never expected that I'll get much better marks. And there is one thing that I would like to say: no matter what people say that they got 200 and they knew why they got 200, so don't believe them. Actually, nobody knows what is it that resulted in the marks. I can tell you from experience that there is one, my roommate actually in Lavasna here, in foundation course, in civils, he prepared a lot. I mean a lot. He went to a board, he got around 150 something, less than 155 I guess. And later when he appeared for forest interview, he got the same board. I'll not take the name of board. And seeing the same board, he was disappointed that okay, I'm done, since uh, the interview chairman actually will be the same. He had not prepared anything, and then he got 202. So you can guess by this story that how much people claim to know and how much they actually know what happened in interview, why the marks were better or worse. For sure, my roommate does not know what worked or what did not work. So that would be my suggestion to you. All the best. And there is one interview group that I have made. If you want to join that group, you can DM uh, with username transcended. So transcendence uh, is the username where you can DM your admit card, and I'll add you to that group. Probably in coming days, if I get some time, I will be answering some of the queries. Maybe on Zoom or something, I might take some demo mocks, but let us see how much time permits. But for sure, your queries will be solved there. So do join if you want to, if you are giving that interview. Thanks a lot and all the best for those who are going to appear for the interview.